Namaste. Welcome to another of our podcasts in the series that we are developing. Today, we are going to interview Dhruv Bajaj, an alumni of TSRS Malsari, batch of 2013, who is a chartered accountant and who's going to talk to us about that. Dhruv, I want you to begin by introducing yourself.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Dhruv. I'm from the 2013 batch, and I was in commerce then. Right now, I am a chartered accountant working with KPMG. I'm currently in audit, and I have been in audit for the past 6 years. That includes a 3-year training period plus a 3-year post-qualification experience period. And I'm currently transitioning between, careers. I'm kind of shifting from audit to another department within KPMG, which is called Deal Advisory, and that's starting from 1st March, starting from the beginning of next month. So essentially, I have been attached with commerce ever since school, right? I think it was about 10th grade or so when I decided to become, to go into the chartered accountancy, to go through that path. After school, it was a no-brainer to get a bachelor's degree in commerce, right? So I went ahead and enrolled myself with the Sri Venkateshwara College, which is in South Campus. That was a 3-year. Of course, that was 3 years at that time. It was 4 years initially. It was then cut down to 3 years. And during those 3 years, I was dodging between my chartered accountancy intermediate level as well as the college semester exams. Yes, it was tough. It was hard to look at people when they used to have their trademark college fun, and I had to run from one class to the other. I was coming out of the college classroom and going to a CA class, and then the same cycle in the next morning, and almost every day it was like that. And then in 2016, when I was 19, I got recruited to KPMG from college itself. In fact, I got recruited in my second year itself. And that was the beginning of my articleship period. That is a mandatory 3-year articleship that you require to complete the chartered accountancy course, where you are expected to work for a big four firm like KPMG, which I was part of, and you're expected to study for your CA final exams at the same time. And you get about 2.5 years of working experience before you are eligible to take your exams. The CA course is currently, and even in my time, it was divided into 2 groups of 4 exams each. This I'm talking about the final level. The intermediate level was 4 plus 3, 2 groups, 7 exams, and 8 exams is the CA final. Regarding so this has been my professional journey so far. After clearing CA in 2018, I'm still associated with KPMG. In fact, we've been through this entire I've been through this entire pandemic, working from home, working from office. I would say it's been a 70-30 ratio. I've been 70 at home, 30 I've been visiting office. Haven't been able to visit my clients since 2020. It's the entire structure of working has changed, but nothing has changed as far as project delivery goes. We're still delivering more than what we used to, in fact, before. We're still getting in big money for the firm, and still working hard, proving ourselves daily, day in and day out. And you know talking about proving myself, that I think we can transition to the second part. The top skills required to
Yeah,
flourish
what are
in
the top
the
skills? True. That was my next question. Two questions.
yeah.
So, what are the skills that are required, and why do children shy away from doing a chartered accountancy course these days?
uh, the top skill that comes to my mind, which is required, is resilience. There is a lot of hard work involved. I think those days are gone where people used to get into CA for the financial rewards. I think people are at least in my time, people got into it because of the prestige involved. There is no guarantee whether you're going to come out of it financially successful, but there is quite a high chance that you will come out of it professionally successful. There needs to be a distinction drawn between these things. I think some people try to take shortcuts, um, they were not willing to devote the kind of time that is required to actually get through the chartered accountancy exams, which everyone knows is no joke, right? The cumulative pass percentage is not even 1%. It's not even 1% even till now, right? If you actually count the beginning course, the intermediate, as well as the final, right? Why people shy away from it? There have been, I think, in the beginning, at least in my time, there were reports about, and this is not, it doesn't sound very professional, but there were reports about exams not being corrected properly by the CA Institute, right? That issue it seems, has been resolved now, but at that time it was definitely a pressing issue. Apart from that, the kind of sacrifices that you have to make are, they're quite deadly. You have to literally leave everything that you are doing for about 5 years, which
Yeah.
itself is not, it's not child, it's obviously not for everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so these are basically the 2-3 things that children shy away from. But how I would look at it was, I would say that 5 years are a small part of your long career. So, but anyway, moving on to the next part. So once you qualify to be a CA, what are your various career paths? Other than setting up your own practice or partnering with a cost accountant or a lawyer or a company secretary, what are the other career paths, Dhruv?
Right. The people that I was involved with, the people that I was working with when I was an article, and when finally that day came where we had to literally decide where our career would go toward. Obviously, there was no one in my batch who wanted to take his or her own practice. Right, it was not a viable option at that time. I would say that there is, yes, Big Four employment is still, even today, the most dominant career path that most CAs either take or they want to take, right? Within Big Four, there are a couple of, I would say, there's an A and there's a B. A is those departments which CAs usually go into, which are audit and tax, which are the core parts of so sorry, just 1 second, sorry, I lost my internet connection.
Yeah. So you were saying which are the core parts, audit and tax, and 2 sentences about what you mean by audit and what you mean by tax.
Okay, so with audit, you are essentially involved in checking financial statements of almost, we have as far as the Big Four go, there are small clients, there are medium clients, and there are the largest of the largest clients that all the marquee names that you ever think of. I mean, you have Samsung, you have Philips, right? Really, really big clients, right? And tax as well. Tax also handles these kind of marquee clients. And then I was going into B, which are the career paths, which are sort of like the road less taken. Those departments that CAs usually do not get to start with, at least do not get to start with, right? They do transition into it, but did not get to start with. Why? Because those departments are very competitive to get into, firstly, A. And secondly, why they're competitive to get into? Because they are, I would say, they are they are because of MBAs, right? MBAs are preferred for those kind of roles, and the roles that I'm talking about are advisory and valuations. These are two roles. They'll be within Big Four, right? But
what
within
do you
advisory,
mean?
I would say 50.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. What do you mean by advisory in 2 sentences and valuation in 2-3 sentences?
All right. So within advisory, you are essentially okay. So there's a distinction between what is an audit and what is advisory, right? Audit is essential. Audit is legal as per the government. You have to get it done. Advisory is optional work. And the first example that comes to mind in advisory is, let's say a company A is acquiring a company B, right? I, as a KPMG advisor, will advise company A whether it's viable to acquire company B or not, based on the company B's historic financials and their future projected cash flows. This
So
is what.
Sorry, I'm going to ask you another question. So when you're advising, are you only looking at the financial aspects, or are you looking at the corporate philosophy? Are you looking at the HR practices, everything, or is it just the finance part that you are advising on?
Well, there are two fields of thought here. There's one thing called due diligence, and there's one thing called financial due diligence. KPMG, as far as I know, which is the firm that I'm involved in, they are involved in financial due diligence only,
Okay.
right? But there is, however, another department in within Big Four is called management consulting, which is on the radar of most fresh CAs, and that is, in my opinion, that is the hardest one to get,
Okay.
because that is prime MBA material. And whatever MBAs are looking for, it's hard for us CAs to be involved in those kind of departments. It is hard. Why? Because there is a distinction between number crunching and how to present numbers. I think CAs they focus so much on number crunching that they forget how to present the numbers and how to actually present themselves professionally.
True.
I've seen so many CAs, my friends and colleagues who are amazing. Like, they're extremely hardworking, but whether they are whether they're able to present themselves, logically, analytically, they do fall short. They do fall short on that. Why? Because for almost all of those 5 years, if you're not working in a big four firm for your articleship, you do lose out on that exposure, because
True.
you're sitting at home studying for your exams. It's all correspondence based, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
you do miss out on that soft skill aspect.
True. Got
The Institute of Chartered Accountants does not care about whether you have those soft skills or not. It's up to you. It's up to you how far you want to go to acquire those.
Yeah.
Working in a big four obviously has its fun. Yes.
Yeah. Got it. So basically, other than audit and tax, you spoke about advisory, financial diligence, and due diligence. Due diligence is the non-financial part, which you call management consultancy. Am I right?
Due diligence is the encompassing term. Financial due diligence is a part of due diligence.
Okay.
The
Got it.
other due diligence is like there are multiple heads within DD, right? FD is just one part. FDD is just one part of it, and KPMG specializes in FD.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Now, the other interesting term that I've always heard is forensic audit. What is that? That is also something that a chartered accountant does, or is it something that an MBA can also do?
No, I have I know few people who have transitioned from normal statutory audit, which is the basic audit, financial audit, to forensic audit. Forensic is, I would say, it's a little more technical in nature. If you
Okay.
are a CA who is interested in IT,
Hmm.
forensic audit is very, very beneficial. It's going to be very advantageous for you. If you don't have the that IT mentality, then I would say forensic audit is not useful.
What do you mean by IT mentality, and what is forensic audit? What do you do in forensic auditing?
Let's say a company is let's say there is an investigation going on, and there is a distinction between what is an audit and what is an investigation, right? when
Yeah.
you do an audit when you do an audit, you're not looking for facts which can jeopardize the company, right? In an investigation, you're going much more. You're going into the depth and core of the smallest of small things.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, you take up a company which is getting audited by the government for, let's say, they've committed a huge fraud, right?
Hmm.
They will involve KPMG's forensic auditors to go in and see what is really the depth of that fraud. For that, you need sophisticated IT systems, and you need a very high understanding of those IT systems.
Okay.
And forensics is I would say it's a bit difficult to work with, because there is a separate area in every office, in every big four office, which is cordoned off for forensics. Nobody can enter that area.
Okay.
And the basic daily stuff that you do, your daily life gets influenced by that investigation that you're doing. There are people who have even gotten death threats while working for forensics.
Okay. Okay.
That is it's a point of concern. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But basically, you definitely need to be a CA. You can't do that with an MBA. So that's another thing. That's a very
Um,
niche area for a chartered accountant.
if if within big fours, you need to be a CA for only audit and tax. Advisory and forensics involve all kinds of professional
Okay.
background people,
Okay. Okay.
CAs as well as MBAs. Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Now, the other kind of career opportunity, as I see it, is working in MNCs, right? So what does a chartered accountant do if he's working for an MNC? You are on the auditing front as an employee of KPMG. You're doing something else. But suppose the chartered accountant was working in an MNC, what would he be doing, Dhruv?
One very bright example comes to mind. Whenever most CAs, when they pass out, when they clear their exams, there's a company that they all want to work for, and that's called ITC. Right? ITC offers the highest salary by far of any other MNC. It's I mean, it's not technically an MNC, but it's one of the most marquee companies to work for
Mm.
in India. Right? What they will essentially do is they will post you on they'll make you a project manager of an entire branch, a remote
Okay.
branch or a plant in some remote village area, right?
Mm.
That's how it is to work for an MNC, right?
But what do
Or
they
you could
do? What do they do when they are working for an MNC?
they take care of the entire finance department. They prepare financial statements. They become the bridge, they become the first point of contacts for the statutory auditors, right? So if I
Okay.
go and work in an MNC, then I have to handle the entire audit. I become the B part of the equation rather than the A part.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. So suppose the company wanting to raise money, that is also the entirely the, does it come in the portfolio of the chartered accountant, or is that
Oh,
the,
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Because when you want to go and raise money, you have to give 5 years, 10 years worth of financials to SEBI, right?
yeah,
Those financials need to be primely audited. Primely. Those, I mean, they cannot have even the slightest mistake. CAs will definitely step in because CAs are, experts and masters at, analyzing financial statements, right? Um, but I have personally worked for a company that's wanted to get listed, and it's definitely it's an experience of its own. It's very hard, it's very long and tough, but it's a very challenging, but it's a very rewarding experience at the same time.
and what about a chartered accountant who gets employed with the government? What does he do there?
Well, personally, I don't know anyone who has been employed as a government auditor, but um, what I can say is that you can work in. There's one aspect of the government that comes to mind. You can go work in the CAG's office.
Okay.
That's the
The computer and
Comptroller
audit.
Auditor
Yeah.
General. Yeah, yeah. They have job hirings, from the most basic to the most advanced levels. What I've heard is it's rewarding to work there as well if you can handle, nits and gritties of, bureaucracy.
Mm.
And there's another government company which hires CAs a lot and which is also very difficult to get into. That's Indian Oil Company. That is
Okay.
a prime example of government side of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's a bit you have to deal with bureaucracy, starting from your day till the end of your day, but it's financially very rewarding. It's on
Yeah.
radars of all CAs that pass out. And like I said, Indian Oil, ITC, Airtel, even
ONGC.
Zomato for that matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
these companies are they hire CAs a lot, and yeah, it's very rewarding to work with.
Got it. One last question, Dhruv. What are the future prospects of a chartered accountant?
All right. If I would
So
talk
when
about
you
my
tell
own
me,
department,
sorry, I'm
yeah.
going to just add on. So when we talk about an MBA can also do some parts of the job. So keeping that also in mind, what are the future prospects?
There's a certain saying that the auditor, the chartered accountant makes the numbers and the MBA presents them. Personally, I would like to see chartered accountants get involved more into presentation and analyzing numbers rather than just preparing and crunching numbers. That is one thing that I would like to see in the future. If I were to say realistically what is happening, right? There are lots and lots of DNA tools. That's technological tools that are coming in to automate certain things that we used to do manually as
Yeah,
auditors, right?
true, true.
Let's say I take out let's say I extract a dump from the company's from the company's data, right? I extract a dump. I need to do something to get it prim and proper so that I can do sampling on it, right? Sampling routines on it. What I see is that all of these steps are going to get automated, and the auditor will be involved largely in issuing opinions and making judgments rather than doing pure number crunching, which is we used to do that, right? We're still doing that, but we are on our way to automating those things, automating the numbers and crunching part of it so that we can focus more on issuing opinions.
I agree with you there, but I just have another related question. So, to be able to issue an opinion, don't you think it's very important to still understand the nitty gritties that a chartered accountancy course teaches you, or what you teach in school, and all the way up to completing your CA course?
Chartered accountancy course is so wide that it literally teaches you it teaches you aspects of, they try to make you a jack of all trades. The only difference is that they don't want you to be a jack of all trades. They want you to be an expert in all trades. Like, you have subjects
Law,
ranging from accounting, you have cost accounting, you have law, you have
economics,
tax, right? Yeah, you even have strategic financial management,
true, true.
which is everything that subject has. MBAs use it for valuation purposes today, right? I'd like to see CAs get more involved into valuation for sure. I'd like to see CAs get more involved in equity, which is, even as of today, it's a pure 100% MBA business,
So, what would
because
you
they
suggest
think,
to, sorry, I'm cutting you. What would you
yeah,
suggest
sure.
to a student currently in grade 11, 12 who's wanting to pursue a career as a chartered accountant? What added skills should he have to be able to, not only number crunch, but also to analyze and present effectively? What more can he do in school or once he's in college to be better equipped?
Well, in grade 11, accounting, the base, right? That's
Hmm.
where everything builds, right? I think
Right.
that needs to strengthen as much as possible, right? Of
True.
course, everyone says, try not to take grade 11 lightly. I
Hmm.
think that principle still stands even as of
Hmm.
today, because
Hmm.
that's where you build your base, right? That's where you study, the three golden rules of accounting. That is going to help you everywhere. That's going to help you analyze almost every situation, even when you are auditing a big company, right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking of the soft skills that are, sorry, I'm talking of the soft skills that you say, when the CA is the backbencher who does the number crunching and the presentation is
Yeah.
done by the MBA. So how can a chartered accountant bridge that gap between, being able to have the right soft skills to make the presentation right? Though I know most of the students of our school have their soft skills in place, but still, what more, Dhruv?
Then in that case, when you're right about, in college, or maybe you're doing BCom correspondence, right? I would suggest, because with articleship you have limited options as to where you can do that.
Yeah.
There are only two options to take. You either take a small firm or a mid-sized firm,
Hmm,
or you
hmm,
go to Big Four, right? If you
hmm,
really want to work on your soft skills, try to take the Big Four.
hmm.
And to go into articleship, yes, there are multiple rounds of interviews that are involved, but
Yeah.
it's not impossible to get into. It's very much possible, right? If
Hmm,
you really want to work on your soft skills, you want to gain exposure, you want to talk to people who know what they are, who know what they're doing, right? Who've been involved in, large projects. I would say, as a junior, get into the Big Four, start working there, and then you can see yourselves rise up and get into more soft, improve your soft skills. If you really want to go and build your own practice, which is something that you really, really want to do, which I would say needs to be a very, very informed decision, you go down that path, then you should be working for a small or a mid-sized firm in your articleship itself. I would
okay.
say, wherever you want your career to take you towards, would say start building on that right after 12th grade. As an 11th and 12th grader, it's not easy. It's not even possible to do work on your soft skills there, because at that time you have no professional exposure. But if you want high levels of professional exposure, the Big Four is, what you really want to do. After articleship, everything is open for you. You want to go into industry. You want to stay within the Big Four. You want to transfer your department. You can do whatever. But articleship, ke liye, there are still limited options, because that's what the ICI wants you to do. You can either do Big Four, or you can do small.
Thank you so much, Dhruv. It was a complete pleasure talking to you and listening to you, and it was a
Absolutely.
very, very informative session. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.